that what an entrepreneur really does in terms of productivity and production in the market itself is to introduce a new type of production process, a new way of producing some value that hasn't been seen before, and that you can't simply just buy parts of and assemble really quickly, but instead it's a novelty, it's an innovation. You're producing either a new good or producing an old good in a new way that hasn't been done before. So the entrepreneur imagines a new type of division of labor and probably new specializations as well. And then just to make this happen, to realize this innovation, they have to assume the financial responsibility and hire all these people and probably train them too. And that's how I explain the role of the firm in the economy, and also where economic growth comes from. Because if this is successful, if this entrepreneur makes a lot of money, obviously others are going to copy it, and then eventually the market these businesses are going to be subsumed in the market, and the market is going to adopt this new level of specialization, if you will.
And I think the classic example of that is the automobile, right? It was a strategic inflection point in transportation. It was a dramatic shift from the a horse and carriage, in terms of efficiency and speed. But then alongside that also came the assembly line, and that was revolutionary for Henry Ford, and but eventually the entire market copied that. Another example I can think of is with SpaceX with Elon Musk. He went and got all the engineers to build a space program, and then went out and did something that no other government had done in the world, which is he made a reusable rocket. And he failed several times and almost went bankrupt doing it. There was a huge risk, but he was able to bring a new process to bear that's going to change the economics of going to space. What do you think about those two examples?
No, I think those are great. I mean, any disruptive innovation, in a sense, is really this, right? You can explain it in terms of the division of labor and the specializations that go into it. And SpaceX is a good example. I mean, he envisioned a new way of producing rockets and using rockets, right? That he thought was going to be much less costly. So there was money in it and a lot of an efficiency gain in a sense, right? And he knew that he could probably make this happen by putting people together in a new way, and letting people um, discover how to do this using sort of his imagination and that sort of vision that he had, and alongside with whatever engineers and experts that he knew or hired, or what have you, all these things. And then they organized a type of production process where they try to figure out exactly how to do this. And that's exactly it, right? It starts with being fully in-house. Whereas when now you see different businesses are competing, and I bet we will see that others are creating their own rocket companies and other things, which means they will be starting to possibly trade with each other and maybe outsource some parts of it and so forth. So the market is going to catch up with this division of labor that is happening within SpaceX right now.
Yeah, and there's a great video with Elon Musk where he talks about all the good engineers didn't think that was possible, and all the bad ones weren't worth hiring. So he was his own chief engineer. He had the vision and the drive, and took the risk. I mean, he almost went bankrupt funding Tesla and SpaceX, and he's been pretty well rewarded for that risk because he turned out to be right. And I think that's an aspect of entrepreneurship that's missed in a lot of economics, is that there's huge risk. And frankly, some schools of economic thought don't even talk about the entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. And when they do, it's usually in terms of simply more new businesses, which doesn't make any sense because that doesn't explain much at all. Because you can have, if I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so if we suddenly have 50 new dry cleaners in Tulsa, that's not going to change a whole lot, right? And probably they will go out of business pretty soon too. And that's what you would measure in much of economic analysis, but it doesn't really change the economy a whole lot. Yeah, people might have a shorter trip to the dry cleaners, but it's not going to be disruptive in any sense. So it's missing the point, the core point of entrepreneurship, really.
Hello, I'm Anthony Coleman. Thank you for watching this clip. If you enjoyed this clip from my show, you can click in the upper right-hand corner to see the full episode, or you can click in the upper left-hand corner to see other clips. Thank you, and welcome to the Economic Circus.